I'm a 28 female. I'm one of 6 children. My parents divorced when I was young because my father had an affair. Despite how they ended, they worked through their differences, and now we're close friends. My mother was the first to remarry. Her husband passed in a tragic accident while she was pregnant with my little sister. My father legally adopted her as a baby, which didn't go over too well with his mistress turned wife. This was 2 years before they got married. Marie is a jealous-hearted and bitter woman. She has 3 children from a previous marriage. I don't know if she expected my father to ditch us or slack on his responsibilities, but it was always a problem when we were around or when he contributed financially to us. No one ever told me. It was things I overheard. Our family is close, so most of the time we're always doing something together. This past Christmas, I overheard Marie and my mother having an argument about her being at my father's parents' house, who still consider my mother family. They don't treat Marie as such, but it's more because of her attitude. They're cordial with her at best, but they don't invite her to do family things like they do with my mother. I won't repeat everything, it's too vile. But basically, she was telling my mother that she and my sister didn't belong there, that their presence was disrespectful to her marriage. My mother cried once she was alone, and though I was livid, I said nothing. My mother tried to cut out and leave earlier than usual, but I wouldn't let her. My mother isn't a confrontational person. She's the most loving, kind-hearted person you could ever meet, which is why at every event we've had since, I low-key stalked my mother, just to make sure Marie stayed clear of her. My little sister graduated from high school, so I decided to throw her a party. I didn't invite Marie, nor her kids. My father had to work, but did get off in time to come. His phone must have died. Bad habit of this. My father had a few drinks, so I drove him home. Once Marie learns where my father has been, she snaps. She says, "You sent your father an invite, but you didn't send me one?" I told her I had my reasons. She tries to start with my father, but he was unaware that she hadn't gotten an invite. She starts saying things like we're ungrateful, that he lets us walk all over her. Lies. That we spend their money. Lies again. I understand under law that marriage is a unity thing, but she's never worked a day in her life. I asked, why would I invite you to my sister's party when you don't consider her my father's child? You disrespected my mother and even had the audacity to speak on her late husband. So therefore I didn't send you an invite. She stood there dumbfounded. My father demands to know what I'm talking about, and I tell him everything. His wife walks away crying. My father packed his bags and has been staying with me for the last couple of weeks, with his wife and her kids trying to harass me, but I blocked them. Not the a-hole. Sometimes the truth comes home to roost, and it ain't purty. Your dad deserves to know the truth since he knows all the context around it. It's up to them to figure a way out of it, if there is one. He likely won't take kindly to her uncharitable behavior, so whether that's viewed as a forgivable slip, assuming she repents and asks for forgiveness, or an unforgivable character flaw remains to be seen. Not the a-hole. There must be something special about the relationship your mom had with your dad if he adopted your baby sister after her husband passed. Even in spite of the unforgivable act of cheating, your mom is the love of his life. New wife likely knows this and is jealous. Not the a-hole. If something can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. My, male 37, wife, female 34, was diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time in her life. It's been an incredibly difficult time. My wife is devastated. She's depressed. She started her treatment this month, and I'm not sure if she'll be able to get better with it since her mental health has been affecting her treatment. I've been low contact with my family due to some family issues between me and my sister. My sister did a few things in the past that caused this conflict. She disrespected my wife and called her useless for being unable to get pregnant. She made backhanded comments about my wife's condition in the past and said that she guaranteed my wife would get sick again. This all was just so exhausting, and both me and my wife couldn't handle this attitude anymore. 2 days ago, I got a call from my mom telling me that sister lost her apartment and flew 6 hours from where she lived and needed a place to stay. She suggested that I take her in. She told me that I needed to pick her up from the airport and take her to my house. I felt uneasy because my wife and I are already going through so much and don't need this stress right now, especially with dealing with my wife's mental issues. I told my mom that I will not be able to take my sister in these circumstances and that I wasn't sure how my wife will react with my sister affecting her treatment and causing her stress. I really don't want to add to my wife's suffering. My mom insisted, and said I can't let my pregnant sister wander the streets in a city where she doesn't know anyone, and that she specifically flew 6 hours to stay at my house. She told me to go pick her up at 10 p.m. from the airport, but I didn't go. I turned my phone off, and the next day I turned my phone on and saw a massive amount of missed calls and texts from my mom berating me for not picking my sister up from the airport and causing her to spend the night at the hotel. She mentioned that my sister was upset, and my mom demanded I bring her to my house and said that she'd disown me if I leave my sister and refused to help her. She didn't even care how my wife was doing, nor even asked. I was so mad. I texted her once, telling her that I won't be letting my sister into my house, and her reply was that she'd disown me if I keep refusing, and that was the last time we spoke. I'm feeling a ton of pressure, and I just don't know how to deal with this. She kept saying she'd disown me, knowing exactly how my sister treated me and my wife in the past, and having her around my wife, especially now, is not good for her mental health. Not the a-hole. Chuck both of them out of your life. Good riddance. They are adults. Adults can pay to stay in a hotel, or, I don't know, call before buying a plane ticket? Duck them. Not the a-hole at all. Your sister sounds like she's been nothing but a negative presence in your and your wife's lives, at least lately, and could actively jeopardize her treatment. Right now, your wife's health is your priority. This could literally be a life or death matter. I suspect your mother and sister knew this would, rightfully, be your reaction, because they didn't bother telling you she was coming until she was already on her way. They were hoping to ambush you and force your hand out of guilt. If your mother is so concerned about your sister's welfare, why isn't she opening her home up? As far as being disowned, you're an adult. This is an empty threat aimed only at causing guilt. There's nothing your mother can actually do to you, and honestly, sounds like, at least right now, you would be much better off without these negative forces in your life distracting you from immediate concerns. It sounds like your priorities are in order. Take care of your wife, and don't forget to take care of yourself as well. Not the a-hole. Who flies 6 hours to a city without a plan for somewhere to stay first? And why doesn't she go live with your mom if she's so worried about her? I, 35 female, was the maid of honor at my sister's 28 female wedding. I was thrilled when she asked me to be her maid of honor, especially as we live in different countries, so I don't get to see my family that often. So I thought she might get a friend in that role. We spent a lot of time organizing things over the phone, but I decided to fly home to help out. I haven't seen my sister since Christmas, and while she has always been a little bigger than me, I was fairly shocked when a woman twice the size of the woman I remembered greeted me at the airport. I didn't say anything, and I didn't show my shock on my face. I know she's been having a hard time with drinking and depression, so I just carried on as normal. Everything was fine for the first few days, until I went with my sister to find a dress. She picked out one she loved, and we took a photo with the rest of the bridal party. It was looking at this photo that my sister got very quiet. We thought she didn't like the dress after all, but she said that wasn't the case, and that she was just tired. It was a few days later when we went to have dinner with my mom and my sister, I found out what the issue was. My sister didn't like how big she looked next to me in the photo, and with the wedding only a few months away, she didn't have time to lose any weight. So they asked me to gain weight for the wedding so my sister didn't feel uncomfortable on her big day, as everyone else in the bridal party was also on the larger side. To say I was stunned was an understatement. I've always been underweight, and it wasn't until I turned 30 that I've been able to gain any weight at all. I'm now a healthy weight. My mom and sister took my silence as me needing encouragement. It would be easy to gain weight if I just started adding things to my food and took up drinking. I don't drink at all. I grew up with parents whose alcohol-fueled arguments put me off forever, and I've witnessed my sister fight with alcohol and substance abuse since she was a teenager. I should mention that my family have been telling me I will get fat soon since I was 25, and always expressed resentment when I didn't put on weight. At this point, I feel I'm very justified in refusing to do this. Where I think I might have been an a-hole is when they kept pressuring me to gain all this weight, and I eventually snapped and told them that just because they have let themselves go doesn't mean I have to compromise my health to boost her self-esteem. My sister lost it and called me an a-hole and told me not only was I out of the bridal party, but I'm not allowed to attend the wedding as a guest either. It's been a few days, and I've had various people texting me I'm being an a-hole over making my sister feel shame about her weight. I don't know what they've been told about the exchange. I know depression is hard. I've been there. And I do feel really bad about snapping at my sister. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely, positively not the a-hole. You have done a great job of learning from others' mistakes and practicing self-care, which includes leading a healthy lifestyle. Considering the crazy circumstances described above, I see absolutely nothing wrong with what you said to your family. Not the a-hole, and what the actual hell? Of course you snapped, my goodness. You're describing a textbook pattern of being unfairly scapegoated all your life for something you have no control over, just so that your family doesn't have to feel bad about themselves. Frankly, I'm amazed you haven't snapped long since. Do not, repeat, not allow them to get any further into your head on this issue. They are suggesting you effectively commit to ruining your health for one day out of your sister's life. And hey, isn't it convenient that that also happens to relieve them of responsibility for their actions? Ugh, what terrible people. I'm sorry, OP. I know they're your family, but ugh. These people admittedly have issues with food and alcoholism, yet they want you to start drinking and gain an unhealthy amount of weight in a short period of time so that they can feel better about themselves. They are unhappy, destroying their bodies, and want to drag you into the pit with them. In what world could you possibly be an a-hole? Husband and I were flying with our toddler. We had a long layover, so I told husband it would be nice to go to an actual restaurant. He agrees and tells me to pick. I show him one that I liked. It was in another terminal, but we had time, so he agreed. We get off the plane. He starts complaining about how it was too far away and his foot was bothering him. He points out another restaurant. I asked if he wanted to go there instead. He says no. As we were walking more, I told him I wasn't married to that other restaurant, and if he sees something else he likes along the way, to pick that one. He says no, he wants to go where I want to eat. He complains more. I offer to take bags from him as he was carrying most of it. He says no. We get separated in the crowd. I thought he was right behind me, but I turn around and he's not there. I start to wait, but then I see the restaurant is about 30 steps further, so I go ahead and wait outside there next to the menu. He comes up and starts to complain about me ditching him. I apologize and explain the restaurant was so close, I thought it was okay to wait here. He told me I did it on purpose, and I was really insensitive to his foot pain. We're looking at the menu. Usually we brainstorm toddler dishes. I mentioned they don't have anything for toddler, and he gets angry and storms off, saying we walked all this way for nothing, and how I'm insensitive to his pain. I told him I felt like I was giving him options to accommodate his pain, but he refused them. I say we need to get toddler food. He says, fine, go get her food then. I pointed out the bistro nearby and start to head over. I look back and he's still at the other spot. I was picking stuff out when I realized I didn't have my phone or wallet. I start searching for him, toddler in tow, circling around for over 30 minutes. Finally decide to head back to our gate. We see each other about halfway to the gate. Before I can say anything, he starts laying into me about how I abandoned him and did this all on purpose. I ask why I would abandon him when he has all my stuff, and I felt like he had done that to me since he was so pissed at me. He doesn't understand why I stayed over in that area looking for him for so long. I felt like he must not have even been looking for us long, because I was right where I said I'd be, and was only there for under 10 minutes. I say I'm sorry that this happened, and I understand I ducked up, but we both messed this up. He refuses to believe that, saying I was disgusting for not being able to take all the blame since this was all my fault. I told him I felt we shared equal blame. He stops talking to me. We get on the plane, and I get 2 texts from him saying he really hated me right now and that he could not find one good reason to love me. This is the worst day of our marriage. We get home. He sleeps on the couch. Guys, did I really duck up? I really think this is everyone sucks here, but if I'm the a-hole, please let me know. Not the a-hole. Jesus, having 2 toddlers in the airport must have been exhausting. He needs serious communication skills. Not the a-hole times 1,000. What is up with your emotionally immature baby of a husband? His foot hurts? Okay, so he should have used his big boy words and told you that he didn't want to walk too far. You offered this as an option, which he declined. The mix-up about losing him in the airport is also no big deal. It happens in crowded spaces. Sounds like you weren't disconnected for very long at all. I can't imagine telling my wife that I couldn't find a good reason to love her, especially not over something so trivial as a walk to a restaurant or being lost in a crowd for a few minutes. This guy sounds like he has some serious emotional and mental issues that need to be worked out. Not the a-hole. I was actually pretty sympathetic with your husband, foot pain, airports, etc., for the first few lines. But telling you he hated you and this was the worst day of your marriage was so far over the line. I hope you've only been married for a couple of weeks, because that would make sense. Otherwise, he'd better build some character before worse days come, because they will, and you can only survive them if you love each other every day. We've been together almost 10 years. I was pretty pissed at that comment too, as we've been through a lot, and us getting lost in the airport is not in my top.